r/NoSleep. Posted by u/Nickrtfmburner. My wife went out to the shore, and didn't return. I woke up on my couch this morning. The first thing I noticed was the piercing headache that comes with a horrible hangover, and then I acknowledged that waking up on my couch, with obvious signs of heavy drinking, instead of doing so in my bed with my wife peacefully sleeping beside me was not exactly encouraging, so as I got up and went to clean myself up, I tried my best to remember everything that took place last night. As soon as I did, I felt guilty. My wife Sophia and I had a heated argument that ended when I eventually passed out on my couch from all of the alcohol I consumed. As soon as I stepped into our room, I noticed that she wasn't asleep on the bed like I expected her to be. There was no sign of her actually, not her phone, not her shoes, not her purse or any of her clothing laying around our room, nothing. I figured that maybe I woke up a lot later than I thought, and she simply went out to grab lunch with her friends. This theory was quickly buried when I checked the time on my phone. It was only 9:20 a.m. This shook me up quite a bit. I didn't know where she was or what she was doing hours after I drunkenly told her the most insulting and degrading things I could think of. Do you see where this is going? She could have spent the night revenge fucking some random loser for all I knew. At that moment I wanted nothing more than to hug her and apologize for all of the horrible things I said to her. The guilt I was feeling was only worsened when I noticed her profile picture was missing from my contacts APS, meaning she either just removed it, or blocked me. The latter seemed like the most likely of the two options, as ever since we met, she had always kept the same picture of her and her twin sister Casey. I figured I needed to clear my mind before doing anything stupid, so I decided to step into the bathroom to take a shower. As soon as I did, I let out a huge sigh of relief when I saw a sticky note attached to the mirror. It read, "Hey Alex, I'm really sorry about last night. I know I was acting like a total maniac and provoked you into saying things you didn't mean. I want you to know that I'm not mad at you and that nothing is wrong. I just went out to the beach to take a walk on the shore. I would have told you all of this in person but you seemed pretty passed out and I didn't want to wake you up. Anyways, I'll be back soon. I love you." I smiled as I picked up the note and read it, however I couldn't help but think that despite this obvious sign that I was just overthinking the whole situation, something still felt wrong. I brushed it off and proceeded to take a nice, long hot shower. I felt a lot better as soon as I stepped out. My hangover had improved significantly and the stabbing sense of guiltiness was almost gone. I got dressed and quickly tried to call Sophia, but it went straight to voicemail. This just made that lingering sense of worry suddenly reawaken itself. But then again, the beach had pretty much no signal, so I didn't worry about it too much and decided not to act immediately. Big mistake. Minutes turned into hours as I desperately waited for her to arrive. All I could think about was her shiny, long blonde hair and those beautiful blue eyes. I soon realized it had been 4 hours since I picked up the note she left me, which would have meant she had been away for a lot more since I had no idea when she left. She never spent that much time at the beach, so at about 1:30 p.m. I decided to leave my house and go look for her. I ran into my good friend Max on the way to the beach. He told me he just left his surf shop and how excited he is about working on a customized board for one of the clients. He quickly noticed I wasn't exactly matching his energy and seemed quite worried. He asked me if anything was wrong and how he could help. That was just classic Max. He was always there for his loved ones. He'd stick with those to him through thick and thin, no matter what. That's why I was really glad I ran into him on this particular day. I needed that kind of support now more than ever. I quickly explained the situation to Max, and his typical massive smile gradually turned into a serious expression and I let out my concerns. He took a deep breath before speaking. "Okay, I would have thought she just stayed mad and crashed somewhere but that note really complicates everything." He then thought for a moment before speaking again. "Maybe she's actually still mad at you and still crashed somewhere but she left you that note so you wouldn't come looking for her. I wouldn't worry too much, man. She's probably at one of her friends' house talking shit about you right now, but that's how it goes with her, man. She's a drama queen. She wouldn't just leave you without a big final showdown face to face, right?" What he said did make sense, but I was still worried. Yeah, exactly. She wouldn't just leave without saying anything. That's why I'm worried. What if she actually came here and something happened to her? I replied. "Well, in that case I'm here to help you look for her, although I really don't think she's kidnapped of anything. That's fucking insane. Trust me, she's probably at someone's house enjoying some time away from her psychopathic husband." He let out a soft chuckle, but quickly turned serious again when he saw his joke didn't amuse me at all. "Look, man, if you're gonna help me look for her I really appreciate it. If not, don't get in my way," I said with a stone-cold expression on my face. "Roger that, he said, as he quickly ran back towards the surf shop. I assumed he chose the latter of the two options I gave him, and scoffed quietly as I arrived at the beach. I was mistaken. About 20 minutes after he left, I heard Max calling out for me. I was too focused on looking for any sign of Sophia to turn around immediately, but when I did, I was delighted to see my friend alongside the entire staff of his surf shop making their way towards me. They were equipped with flashlights, binoculars, and even an automatic weapon in case things went sour. I couldn't help but smile at the sight before me and greet my friend with a hug. We wasted no time and immediately split up into 4 groups, walking around the beach and asking every pedestrian if they've seen a blonde-haired woman in her mid-20s earlier this morning. We were met with negative answers over and over again, until the sun started to set, and our hope of finding Sophia slowly disappeared with it. Before I knew it, it was already 7 p.m. We had been asking around for any sight of my wife for more than 5 hours, and most of Max's team were starting to lose hope entirely. One of them suggested we call off our search, and instead file a missing person report with the local police. I stubbornly refused, noting that the local police is extremely incompetent and a missing person report almost always leads to nothing, but deep down I knew that was my best bet. Max quickly said, "I agree with Alex, the police won't do anything to help us. But Detective Hoffman might be a different story, I'll call him right now." I was confused by his statement, however it gave me hope. Whoever this Detective Hoffman guy is could really help us right now, at least help us more than the police would. Max quickly explained to me that Detective Hoffman is the client he talked to me about earlier. He was shopping for a birthday present to give to his son, and a custom surfboard from Max's shop was what he chose. Max told me that they had become great friends, which by his standards most likely meant that they were mild acquaintances, but whatever kind of relationship they had was irrelevant. What mattered was that this guy was a trained detective who also worked as a private investigator, and after a short phone conversation with Max, he agreed to help me find my wife in exchange for a hefty discount on his customized surfboard. I was so thankful that Max actually agreed to this, especially considering that initially he thought that there was nothing to worry about, but hey, that's Max for ya. Detective Hoffman and I got in touch as soon as he ended his conversation with Max. We agreed to meet at my house that same night, so I said goodbye to Max and his crew, thanking them and especially Max for their help, and quickly made my way back home. I still had a shiver of hope in me that as soon as I walked into my house, Sophia would be right there waiting for me. Of course that wasn't the case. But my disappointment was short-lived, as about 10 minutes after I arrived, I got a knock on the door. It was Hoffman. I opened the door and greeted a tall, but slender man into my home. He gave me a firm handshake and asked if he could come inside. Of course I responded affirmatively, and he immediately took off his large, black trench coat to reveal a minimalistic, yet elegant white shirt and red tie. He made his way into my kitchen and asked me if I had any bourbon. I was a bit shocked by his confidence. Usually I would be the one to offer booze to my guests. I didn't have bourbon, but I did have about half a bottle of scotch left, so I offered it to him and he gladly accepted. I took out 2 glasses and handed them to him. He served a generous amount of the brown liquid of each glass, put them on my kitchen table and invited me to sit down. Again, his confidence was definitely a bit shocking to me, and I could have definitely mistaken it for arrogance, but I decided to keep these thoughts to myself. The only thing that mattered to me was finding Sophia. "Listen Alex, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I need you to be 100% honest with me if you want us to get anywhere. Understood?" "Yes. I understand, Detective." "Fantastic. Now I want you to know that we have a confidentiality agreement in place, meaning anything you say cannot legally be shared to anyone. Understood?" "Yes. Understood," I replied. I definitely got a bit nervous when he asked me that. I was afraid of what he could ask next. "Did you murder, attempt to intimidate or attempt to physically or physiologically harm Sophia Atkinson?" I was lost for words. I froze up. This Sherlock Holmes doppelganger thinks I killed my own wife. No. Of course not. How dare you even suggest that in my own home? I can't begin to explain how. He calmly cut me off. "No need to get defensive now Alex, I just need to have a full understanding of the situation so I can make an informed decision on how to proceed. I am not suggesting anything." He spoke again before I could reply. "Tell me about Sophia. Did she show any change in her character in the days leading up to her disappearance? Did she show any signs of desiring to terminate your relationship? Is she closer to any of her relatives or friends than she is to you?" I thought for a few seconds, and then began to tell him about our big fight. I was drunk and thought it would somehow be acceptable to demand she stopped seeing her twin sister Casey so often. I hate to admit this, but I got jealous. I was jealous that my wife was spending time with her sister. God, I'm such an idiot. I told Hoffman about Casey. Her and Sophia were extremely close, but oddly enough I never got to spend much time with her. Sure, I knew who she was and had seen her around sometimes, but I never got the chance to properly introduce myself to her. The closest I ever got was at my wedding, when she congratulated me and Sophia, and we exchanged a few words of gratitude, but that was really it. I was bothered by the fact that my wife spent so much time with someone who was practically a stranger to me, even though I had absolutely no right to feel that way since they've literally known each other since they were born. I understand. Do you happen to know where this individual resides at? Hoffman asked, referring to Casey of course. Yes, she lives about 4 blocks away, I replied, not entirely understanding the purpose of Hoffman's question. Good, I would like to go speak to her immediately. I'll wait for you inside my vehicle, he said and quickly stood up, grabbed his trench coat and stepped outside. I was a bit shocked by this, but I remembered my goal of finding Sophia, so I followed behind him and made my way into his black SUV. The drive over to Casey's house was quiet and rather uncomfortable, but as soon as we got there he handed me some sort of tape recorder and a pair of earphones. He said, "I'm going in alone, but I need you to listen carefully to everything she says, try to make connections between anything you may learn and everything you already know. But I need you to stay cool and composed, Alex. I will pressure her heavily, so it is more than likely that Casey will disclose some information that is new to you, but no matter how angry it makes you, you have to stay here and stay focused. Understood?" This shook me up a lot. I was not ready to find out what Sophia had been hiding from me. But I was certain that I was going to hear it anyways. Hoffman is intimidating to say the least, and I just know that if there truly is a big secret that Sophia had trusted Casey with, Hoffman would be able to get it out of her with ease.